So on the last channel update, I asked you guys if you wanted to see a couple unboxings of some of the unbuilt kits that I still have to build, of course, as they are unbuilt. And they are on the to-do pile for some of the companies that I work with, and are some of the builds that I of course still need to do and are priority builds. Now I don't yet quite have the time to build every single one of them right now. I'm just going to pick and choose which one I build first, but here are just some of the unboxings in the next couple of videos coming up. First of all, I'm just going to start off with a project from USCP. For the base kit, I need the Hasegawa Volkswagen. Then I of course have their USCP conversion kit to make it into a longer extended version so it can be used as a transporter. And I will also be unboxing the Porsche 550 Spyder in another video. So these Hasegawa Volkswagen kits aren't really all that complicated to build. They do have a couple parts, but not really all that many. So they go together really quickly and really easily. I've built a couple of these in the past and all of the parts fit together really well. So overall, this should be a fun and easy build. I'm of course going to convert it into a longer extended version with the USCP conversion kit, but that is to come at a later time. As you can see here on the instructions, there are also a couple of parts marked, like these specific ones right here. And those are all parts that are both available for the regular versions of these buses. They make different versions of these kits, but are not necessary for these specific versions of this one with the pickup style bed. So if you've built one of these Hasegawa buses before, a couple of these sprues might look familiar, as they are interchangeable between the kits, and they have been produced in large quantities, so they do have a couple of points where the flashing came out in between the molds and a bit of extra plastic squeezed through. That also means that a couple of the mold lines aren't really as clean as you want them to be, so it does require a bit of cleanup if you have one of the newer versions of these kits. So the chassis isn't super detailed. It does have a couple of the pieces that are required to make it look a bit better than without an engine, but a real engine isn't really to speak of. It's just half of the engine to show a bit of detail, but not overdone. So you could convert this one with a VW Beetle kit from Tamiya, which does has a full engine. And then you can maybe just transplant it into this kit and make it a bit more detailed. For me, I'm not going to be bothered as I'm going to be rebuilding this into another version anyway. So on the interior side of things, it's not really all that much to talk about as well. The dashboard is pretty simple. It does have a couple of details on it shown on an earlier sprue. The steering wheel is nice and simple too, and so is the gear shifter. It doesn't come with door panels. For the exterior, there are a couple sprues as well. They are molded in the same creamy white color as the body. Of course, this is the new panel that needs to be slotted in at the rear of the cab. These are, of course, the side panels for the pickup bed, and these will all be replaced with the USCP version, making them a lot longer. There are a couple more sprues for the exterior detailing side. These are two of the same sprues. I'm not really exactly sure what these are for, but I think these have something to do with the rails for in the bed or some other details that have to be added all around. Now this one seems to be broken. I'm not really sure if these are necessarily used in the build that I'm going to be doing, but otherwise they do need to be glued back together and fixed, of course. On the other sprue, all of them are completely intact, so not a really big deal. So back in the 60s, when these vans or buses or pickups came out, they had a lot of chrome on them. You could of course choose to delete all the chrome or just keep a couple of the pieces, painted them, or do anything else with it. But luckily in the kit you get the option of the parts coming pre-chromed in the kit standard, and you can always just remove the chrome. So it does have a couple of nice hubcaps with some good detail in them, some other parts all around like mirrors and light housings, and even the wipers. Some more sprues, you get different options for I think the handles and the headlight buckets too, as there are different shapes and you can choose which facelift version you'd like to build, of course, but depending on the style and the accuracy, you do need to pay close attention to the instructions which are actually used on your version. On this one you also get the standard bumpers. On the other version I know there are some with extra bars around them and that look a bit more detailed and fun, but I'm pretty sure that these weren't used on these commercial vans or pickups, so they just included the stock ones. Wheels and tires are of course included too, really narrow small wheels and tires just like they used back in the day. For the Clearparts you also get two sprues, one with the main Clearparts for the front cab and also the rear window in there, and the other one with all of the detail parts for the lenses all round. As far as decals go, it's a super small sheet with a couple of detail pieces for some of the gauges on the dashboard, a couple logos and some license plates, and of course the main big logo for on the front if you want to have it in white, which makes it a lot easier than if you have to mask and paint it, of course. The main body is molded in one big piece too, apart from this rear section that needs to be glued in for the cab. I'm just going to cut it off here and replace it with all of the new parts, but if you're not, you can just use, of course, all of the stock kit components. The panel lines are nice and crisp, could be a little bit deeper, but with a bit of scribing that is easily fixed. All the other details around, like some of the vents, even some of the locks or handles for a lot of the panels are there too. The logo on the front is also super sharp, so after painting you could decide to mask it off to paint it pretty much any color you'd want, or add some bare metal foil or other chrome foil to make it a nice chrome emblem, of course.